love, sex, desire, drama, lovers, and the others. And we talk about it all here on Relationship Rhetoric. Greetings and welcome to Relationship Rhetoric. I'm your host, unapologetically Angela. And on the show today, I have a gentleman and his wife, but I have indirectly known him for quite some time. Mm-hmm. I went to Lemoyne, would see him always on the campus. We shared the same barber, and I would see him in and out of the barbershop. Just as of recently, we have worked on the Memphis Black Expo together. So I've gotten to know him recently, and he's a very interesting guy. So I was like, I want to know who the woman is connected and dealing with Mr. Earle Fisher. So welcome to the show, Mr. and Mrs. Fisher.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And the plus is they are celebrating 8 years of marriage tomorrow, which is beautiful. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We should bow, right?
Exactly. So, because it's such the eve of an anniversary, how did you all meet?
I want to pass this to Denise, but first I want to say, because she'll tell a story in her own way, and then if there's anything I feel like I may need to fill in, I'll do that. But, so, for me, this is not a man and his wife. This is two fully competent, capable, compassionate people who are married together. Nice. So it's not Earle plus one, right?
Right.
It is Denise, and it is Earle. It is Earle. It is Denise. So I would not have. We would not have accepted the invitation if it was just. And we're gonna talk about this guy and then whoever this chick is. And you didn't say it exactly like that. But I want to, and I'm sure, as we talk more about how we have evolved, then people will be able to appreciate that too. So, why don't you talk about how we met?
Well, just a little backstory. 2006 was the year that we met, November 2006, and I was out with my friend celebrating my birthday weekend, and I was single at the time, had been in a previous relationship early on in the year, an engagement actually, and broke it off. And so 2006 was my year of growth and getting to know who I am. And so in the midst of all of that, you know, you date people and you're like, it's not working. And so prior to meeting him, I said, you know, just in conversation with God, you know, after dating so many duds, I was like, you know, God, if it's for me to be single, you know, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. If that's what you have for me, then I'm good. So that particular weekend, my friend and I, we were out and having fun and celebrating. And I had seen him around, you know, and I was like, oh, he's cute, you know, he's nice looking. And prior to that, I hadn't had the courage to say anything to him. So on this particular night, I see him and I say something to my friend, and I said, I'm going to say something to him tonight. And she was like, you know, edging me on. And so
she was trying to push you into your blessing, baby.
So I guess so. And so I call him over and I introduce myself, and he walks over with this look of suspicion, like, am I supposed to know you? And I was like, no, I just like what I see.
And the Spirit of the Lord showed up right there. Right
and
there.
So we met that night. We danced and we got to know each other. We exchanged contact information, and literally ever since that night, we've been talking ever since.
Wow.
You know, it took a little while to, you know, get to seriousness and, you know, being in a full-fledged relationship, but well, no, it didn't take that long. Maybe 6 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, but depending on how somebody might look at it, that's like it wasn't overnight. I think that's the point.
No,
that
not overnight. It was a journey.
Yeah.
But that's how we met. We met at a function that was called First Fridays.
Yep, First Fridays. It was at the FedEx Forum after one of the Grizzlies games. You remember First Friday?
First Fridays.
They used to send around to different venues every month, and so we just so happen. And yeah, the way that she has retold it this time, because we've told the story several times, I think this might have been the most accurate from my vantage point. Or,
Accurate?
the part I would agree with. Right. Or the part that this telling is probably about as similar to my telling as any other ones that I've heard previously. So not even too much to add to that. She right.
Okay,
She
cool.
right. But it was part of the reason I think this part of our journey together is so important for people is because you hear this notion, and I think there's some truth to it, that the woman should never approach the man. Right. Not technically, she didn't walk up on me type deal.
Yeah.
It was a very beautiful gesture for me to come to her, right? But not in like come here. And so her petition for me to come was not where my suspicion was. My suspicion was I had been in a place, personally, she talked about where she was. I too had been in a failed engagement prior to meeting her. I too had done some self-reflecting about what it meant for me to be who I was becoming and what that meant in terms of relationships and stuff like that. And so I had been out, I used to go out on the weekends just to try to detach from the ministerial pressures. And so I was used to being out trying to have a good time. Somebody called me, I was, you know what? You preached at my such and such. So when I came to her saying, I'm supposed to know you, right? I mean, this is what I thought it was just going to be another one of those.
Okay.
Like, now here comes some pretty girl asking me to come over, and she going to throw something out like,
Did you preach about?
Yeah, and I heard you preach such and such, or you were at my granddad's church, or anything like that. And so when I was walking over trying to prep myself, and so when I said that, it was to preempt whatever that was about to be.
Gotcha.
And when she said, no, I just like what I see, I was like, ooh, Jesus. Hello, somebody. I'm thinking, I like what I see too.
Yes.
And so, from there, we just, like she said, we conversed. It had been a ease in terms of our communication from the jump. And so that's been probably the most significant thing that has helped us to get to the point to where now we're looking at each other 8 years into a marriage and saying, I don't see no end in sight.
Nope. Not at all.
Okay. So 6 months, then we're in a relationship. When did you know, I want her to be my wife?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It came over time. So I don't mind, saying this. Her and I have talked about this in terms of how we got to where we are. In the exploration phase, before I even meet Denise, right? So you dating people, and you say, well, I like this person's intellect. I like this person's conversation. I like this person's professionalism. I like this person's intimacy, so on and so forth. And so, when you first meet somebody, you don't have the luxury of knowing the totality of who they are.
Right.
So it's just certain things. Is there certain attraction there? Yes, there is. Can we talk to each other? Yeah. And then the more I began to peel back the layers, I think she would say the same thing about me. The more I began to peel back the layers, it was like, hey. And at some point I came to the realization, wait a minute. This is as close to the, anything outside of that I don't see her offering right now, I can live with that. Because I don't have the physical or emotional capacity to deal with 4 and 5 different people at the same time anymore. I'm just kind of sort of past that. I was like, this is the total package. So, probably about, I know our relationship reached another level of commitment after it was a wedding that I was in. We had a real tense conversation.
Oh, goodness.
Had a real tense conversation.
Tense.
I was in a wedding of Brandon and Kiana Blake. And Denise and I had gotten into something the day before. And I remember waking up saying, well, I'm not calling her. She got me messed up. Probably more explicitly than that, right? So, man, And so I got in the car that morning. One of the artists that we both like is Carl Thomas. And he had an album out at the time. And the name of the song is Make It Right. And the chorus is, how can we make it right? And the first line of the song is, "What's the matter, girl? You not speaking to me, and I don't know why." And I felt like I was saying, "You gonna call her? You gonna call her?" Because I was hell. Now both of us could be stubborn.
We can both be stubborn. Now I wasn't calling him because I was like,
Yeah, and so from there I knew, because we even in that conversation talked about how we had both gotten to a place where we were, we were I guess you could say monogamous, right? Even without having a conversation about, I need you to leave. I'm throwing names out. I don't think she ever dated anybody named Danny, but I need you to leave Danny and Mario, whoever alone. And you need to leave Bonquisha and Shanae alone, right? Like, that ain't how that happened.
that's not how it happened.
Like, it evolved. We committed early on to not pressure the other to go any faster than they wanted to go. Yep. And before we knew it, we were at a place where we were, being monogamous one with another without even having to force it. So,
Nice.
And he also used to say, once we did make that, step into being in a monogamous relationship, is that I'm going to marry you in 08. No, I'm going to propose in 08 and get married in 09. And I was like, really? I mean, not that
she didn't.
I was just kind of hesitant about it. And we did. I mean, well, he actually proposed in December of 07.
Yeah.
And we got
Because that's
married.
when I had the coins.
And we got married in June of 09.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I think the term that I've been looking for is not necessarily monogamous, but exclusive.
Exclusive.
Yeah, when we were exclusively dating just one with another, because I don't want to, presuppose for anybody who may be listening. That meant they was that. First of all, whoever we dealt with ain't none of their business.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, that's not the point that I was trying to make. The point that I was trying to make is when we became exclusive.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Share with us some things that take place in the Fisher household that are non-negotiable. And when I said this off camera, they laughed. So I'm like, what are they about to say?
Man.
Okay.
You want to take a
No,
stab
you
at
go
it?
ahead. I'm going to see what you
So
say.
we've grown, like you grow in a relationship where you realize certain things that you may think were non-negotiable are not. And then certain things that you may think you have to do individually, or you're even going to do together based upon whatever frame of conditioning that you may have been a part of, whether it be family or whatever. You feel like, no, it ain't like that. And you just really discover what works for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so probably what we're laughing at the most, one thing we know about each other, we are not TV compatible.
No.
We are just not. Now, that don't mean she may not peek in and watch a game with me, or I may not peek in and watch one of the shows that she watches with her, right? But by and large, she's going to have one TV, I'm going to have the other.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much like that would be pretty much non-negotiable. Beyond that, I think she's the better cook, so she cooks the vast majority of the time. She may, prod me about cooking from time to time, or I may just,
He's kind of off the cuff when it comes to cooking. I'm going to cook. And I'm like, oh, really? Not because he can cook, but
when
cooking is my thing.
When the spirit
Cooking
falls.
is my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is a food scientist. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She works it out like that. So she does most of the cooking. Both of us clean our own clothes and stuff. She does the majority of cleaning around the house. That's one of the ways I've come to understand. That's her thinking time.
Yeah, that's my processing time. I like to clean. It helps me, calm down. That's just my outlet right there. So
Okay.
And I got to take the trash out.
Yeah, he takes the trash.
Yeah, we were just in Huntsville. I had to preach for somebody in Huntsville, and they ran off this litany of the introduction stuff. And then if I was thanking the pastor and I said something about my wife, I said, I'm glad when my wife gets to travel with me, because she reminded me, I don't care what they said about you, you still gonna take that trash out when you go home.
When you finish.
She's like,
When you're done, okay.
Soon to be Dr. Fisher. You see that trash over there? Thank you, sir.
But he will, if I'm on a Saturday morning cleaning up and I'm in my mode and he's just like, what you need me to do? He will chime in and say, you need me to do something? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Just go on over there, and before it's done, I mean, it's over with. So, but he will chime in and say, you need me to do something? What you need me to do? And because I think he feels like, he wants to help and he wants to fix
or
it.
you
So
feel like you're doing it all.
and I'm
And
doing it all by myself. But
that That she's absolutely right. Also, I don't think we ascribe to these particular type of gender roles that everybody else ascribes to. Like, she's not cooking because she's the woman. That's what she's put.
Right.
We've never that's never been the case.
That's never been
right.
the case.
And I'm not taking out the joy because I'm the manager. Like, no, like that's kind of sort of what our rhythm has become, based upon the gifts and skills that a particular person had. So yeah, nah, this not. I'm the man around here, so you gonna clean this house? Boy, I'd be on the couch, or under the carport. So nah, that's not that. But yeah, that's just the rhythm. That's been the rhythm.
Okay, so
and another non-negotiable, we have to spend time together.
Oh,
Both
yeah.
of our schedules are busy and can get hectic, but we do carve out time for ourselves.
Yep.
And we have Wednesday date night,
Yep.
you know. And if we don't date on Wednesdays, we like, okay, I know you got this going on, and we'll schedule it for either Friday or Saturday. That's going to happen anyway.
Right,
But
most of the time, it's a midday date on Wednesday, and then an evening out together on Friday. That's most weeks, actually. And people who know us know that that's like you really don't ask us to do much on Friday evenings, like after 6. It's like, no, I'm gonna be with my spouse. Yep. And I think she's absolutely right. Again, she's always right, isn't she? But just to talk about how we understood our schedules would be hectic. She's a professional. I'm a professional. Matter of fact, one of the things we kind of sort of established early on that we keep teasing about, me being in ministry and her being in social work. He was like, you know what, I'm relatively clear. Sometimes I'm going to take you to the altar. And she's like, yeah, and sometimes I'm going to take you to the psychiatrist's couch. Right? And so that's been a wonderful compliment one to another. So, there are times when, babe, I'm trying to process this, think through this emotionally. Well, and then she, hey, I need you to pray about such and such. Or can you, I'm trying to think about this spiritually or religiously. And so that's been a wonderful compliment too.
Nice.
So even though we can't watch the same shows,
y'all can work through some stuff.
Absolutely.
So that brings me to my next question. I heard you make the statement about both of you all being stubborn, but y'all have such a great energy. How do you handle when conflicts do come up at this point in your marriage?
Well, I think for me, it took growth. My daddy told him when he was deciding to propose, asking for my hand in marriage. And I didn't know this took place until later, but my daddy told him, she's kind of spoiled now.
That ain't what he said. Can I tell you what he said?
You can say
it. And I love this brother. Like I got the best in-laws ever. And I would hope she would say the same about my mom. But I said, Mr. Lloyd, I've been dating your daughter for a while, and I'm really serious about this, and I want to know if I could get your permission to have her hand in marriage. He simply said, she'll run now.
Which in other words means,
ruined,
she's spoiled.
Right? She'll run now. I was like, I don't know what that means exactly. But I think you're trying to warn me about something. And we just talked, but yeah.
I mean, I do like to have things my way, but, I've grown since, young days. And so, I had to grow to the point of, being able to hear him out and him hear me out and learning what works for him and what works for me. And so early on, one of our conflicts that came up, and we talked about it, and it was just kind of like it just flowed, and I was shocked at that. And so I told him, I said, I like the way we handle conflict. We hear each other, we listen, because that's important, instead of trying to come up with the next thing. I'm not even listening or processing what you're saying. I'm just trying to get my point across.
So she was far more, let me interject this.
Go ahead.
She was far more advanced on the listening than I was.
That's part of my profession.
Right. See what I'm saying? So even earlier on,
listen for a living.
So as kind as she is talking about how much she has grown, and she has, but there were some areas that she didn't need to grow like I did either, though. Like early on in some of our communications, and I too have affirmed that I like the way we handle conflict, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
And, everybody got irons and wrinkles that they have to work.
Right.
I mean, crinkles, ripples, and wrinkles that they have to work through. But I would be the one trying to get her to a place where I thought she should be in terms of conversationally.
Right.
Because I'm the one processing the information verbally on the spot. Because
And I don't process stuff like that. I'm like, I need a moment.
Yep.
Let me break all this stuff down. Let me make it make sense. And then let me, because he's on the spot. You know, that's what he does. That's him. But me, I'm like, let me take this all in. I'm going to dissect it. And then I can, it might take me an hour or something. Not to say I'm slow, but I'm sure. You know, I just have to.
To details that I'm
paying attention and I'm trying to break everything down because that's just how I process.
So it took me some time to grow to realize she's not necessarily shutting down. She is being independent and processing things at her own pace and in her own way. I, as a person who loves her, has to not only respect but affirm that that is how she is processing information. So I had to grow on that. I remember early on there were times where we had to not communicate verbally about not at all, but not about a particular issue. She would write it out in email. That kept me. This was her brilliant strategy, right? Let me get this all the way out without you interrupting me.
Because he could do that.
Yeah. As I've done tonight, right?
Yeah.
But that's cool. So she is right in terms of its growth. It's growth on both sides, and I think that should be clear because there's some things that she was just far advanced on in some of the techniques of communication than I was, even as a public speaker, right? But no, there's some things that I had to learn from her that has helped us in terms of our what we call in rhetoric, the communicative strategy, right? The strategies of how we communicate. So, yeah, that's basically how we haven't had, thanks be to God, as far as I know, and I can only speak for me, but I think it's true for her too, no infidelity or anything like that. And I think our previous relationships both helped to prepare us for this.
Yeah.
I've said this several times, and this is not a point of bragging. This is just to talk about the realistic nature of where we are. Denise is the only woman I've ever been faithful to.
Yes.
And she has made it easy.
Well, thank you. I try. I try.
She has made it easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that says a lot. That says, because brothers don't.
Girl.
I was saying that to say the issues that we have had to work through.
Right. Exactly.
Have been primarily issues of communication.
Absolutely.
Expectations, so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, and I'm trying to choose my words wisely. Marrying into the ministry. How was that transition for you?
Well, I've been raised in the church.
Okay.
You know, and so being in the ministry wasn't a shock to me. You know, I'll take you back to our first date, and I didn't know what he did. Like, I didn't know him. I just saw him around. And so we're on our first date, and we're having this conversation. So I asked him, on my birthday, actually. And so I asked him, I said, so what do you do? And he said, well, I work with youth. And I was like, oh, me too, you know. So I was like, oh, we meshed there, you know.
What are you doing?
So, you know, we're just conversing. And then, you know, he, I guess, was kind of scared to break the news to me. And so we're both adults, so we were having adult beverages. And he says to me, well, let me just tell you this. I am a minister. I was like, okay. You know, I was like, I'm not going to pour out my drink just right, you know. And so, you know, I was like, okay, you know, I'm not going to break out in hives and run, you know. I was like, okay, that's cool. So, like I said, it wasn't a shock to me. It was just like, okay, I've never would have thought I'd be dating or marrying a minister, pastor, or none of that. But, you know, it just kind of flowed, you know, and because of my background and how I was reared in the church, you know, my mom didn't play about church. You know, you go to church on Sunday, you go to vacation Bible school, you go to Bible study, you go to Sunday school. You know, I was singing in the choir, usher, and all of this stuff. I even taught Sunday school for a little while. So, I mean, so I wasn't scared about that. And, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot being married to a pastor, but it's not difficult. You know, it's like, we are who we are, and we remain who we are. You know, I don't have to take on a persona like, oh, I'm going to church, let me put on my first lady face. But I'm just who I am, and he is who he is, and I think that helps our ministry is remaining who we are.
You tell them about what Miss Vicky told you.
Oh, yes. And when we, you know, went into the engagement, my home pastor and his late wife, we were having a conversation with them because those, you know, are two people that I entrust and, you know, love them dearly. And so we were out having lunch or something like that. And so I was like, you know, Miss Vicky, what is it like being a first lady and married to a pastor? And she was like, you know, it is what it is, you know. She was, and I said, what advice would you have for me? She was like, baby, just remain who you are. Just be yourself. I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. And so, you know, that has stuck with me and it has resonated with me. And, you know, that's the best piece of advice that has helped me, you know, being married to a pastor, that just be myself. I was like, I can do that all day long, you know.
We didn't get together under the auspices of this is going to be the pastor and first lady type relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
I went on a hunt
right.
for a pastor, you know.
And I went on a hunt for a first lady, whatever that
Yeah.
means.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think both of us, you know, I married Denise.
Mm-hmm.
Denise married Earle.
Right.
It ain't. She didn't marry Pastor Earle or Doctor. No, I didn't marry her profession necessarily. What she does professionally is a part of who she is, but it's not the essence of who she is. And I think she would say the same about me. So, you know, we didn't go into this with these expectations. I never once expected or anticipated her to be wearing big hats. And no shade to the first ladies who, you know, embrace this particular type of presentation. But when she says herself, you know, at the end of the day, she ain't at home calling me Pastor Earle. Like, nigga, get
I
out.
have to catch myself even when I'm in conversation with some of our church members. I'll say Earle, and I'm like, Pastor Earle, you know, because we're so comfortable with each other. I still want to respect him on that level because I don't, you know, I know he won't trip over that, but I still try to respect that.
Okay. So last question. What do you feel like you learned from your upbringing that has gotten you to the point where you are now?
You want to go first?
So yeah, like my mother has two children. My sister Tierney, who's 2 years older than me, and myself. And by two different men. So my sister and I have two different fathers, neither of whom did my mother marry. My mother married two men and has been divorced twice. Nevertheless, my mother has probably been the most insightful person when you start talking about being authentic in terms of who you are, instilling in me values like respect, honesty, fidelity too, right? And so she would say that she taught me through her marriages. She taught her children, she would say, what not to do. And so Denise and I have been married 8 years. I think my sister and my brother-in-law got married in 2001. August of 2001, so what's that, 16 years now? Yeah, it's about to be 16 years, 15 years. Yeah, because that's where they went to that big trip and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've observed from families, and I'm not trying to steal her thunder by any stretch. I've observed through her family, too, some of the ideals and things that you want to aspire to. But I still stand by this. We have cultivated expectations of our relationship for ourselves.
Right.
That yes, the upbringings and the extracurricular or the people who you see on the outside, they can help. They can help to shape your perception and expectations, but ultimately it has to be something the two people decide and sit down. And this is what I think people miss. And then I it's lost how much conversation we had up front about what we expected.
Yeah.
And how we have been even willing to put some of that stuff back on the table. I mean, we talked about some of everything on the front end. So what do you think about this? You know, okay, so here's the non-negotiable, right? Don't cheat, come home. Right? Everything else, I think, with our communication style, we work through. But expectations about what time you come home, how you hang out, when you hang out, where you go, what the workload, balance, all that other stuff. We talked about everything up front. And so we were setting up our own rhythm and our own pace and our own expectations, even though we were influenced by other people on our side. And I didn't have a lovely model that she did, but I'll let you tell. I'll let her tell you about that.
Well, my parents in February 28th of this year, they celebrate their 49th year anniversary. I respect my parents. I love them to death. My mom is the homemaker. She cooks 2-3 meals a day. And I also told Earl this when he started to, come around the family and all of that. My mom get up in the morning, cook breakfast every day. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. What you see right there, they don't make them like that no more. I'm not even going to set you up to think. But I do cook. My dad works hard. We had to actually almost make him retire. And he's been retired for probably about 5 or 6 years now.
I don't even think it's been that long.
May not have been that long. Works hard, takes care of the family. I always make sure we had a roof over our head. Gave us what we wanted and all of what we needed, So I always wanted to be the type of woman to take care of my home, be there for my family, just like my mom. My dad always wanted a hardworking man. It doesn't matter, what kind of job. I did want a, professional guy. My dad dropped out of school in 10th grade because he had to help with the family. Right. So, he still provide for his family and up to probably, my dad is 72 now. I want to say up to about 68 maybe. So worked hard in a factory, So he always told me especially because I was the first one in the family to go to college, you're not going to work in a factory because you're not cut out for that. He was like, you're not going to cut out for that. I want you to go to college. He wanted those things for us that he didn't have. Absolutely. So, I take bits and pieces from my mom and dad and, I see a lot of me and for both of my parents, Absolutely. Eddie Lord will rise up every now and again.
She is.
He is the, stern, my mom is the sweet. She'll put you in your place when you need to. So, I just kind of took bits and pieces, some advice that they both told me. Don't pattern your marriage after anybody else. You make your own marriage. Don't talk about your business, those type things. And I was like, okay, I get it. So I kind of took the hard working and the caring and the love that they both share, from them. So,
and they're just some beautiful people. And she's right. Like, having been around them so much over the past 8 years, I've been able to see, I was like, that's the right there. Yep, and that's the mother side, and that's the father side. And too, and Denise and I talked about this, I even talked about it with my mother and my sister too. She, in loving ways, translates to the personality of my mother and my sister meshed together too. I mean, in a weird way, like because I didn't go out looking for, I want somebody who's gonna be like, like I'm like, no. And then over the years, I said, you know what? Because that stubbornness that she gets from her dad is almost like my sister's too. Because my sister is very stern, very detailed, very aggressive in terms of trying to stick to a particular plan or a particular script. Yeah. And then that compassionate, nurturing, caring that she gets from her mother, my mother's like that too, very sacrificial, give you the last, and especially when it comes to people in the family and wanting to be family oriented and all that stuff. So yeah, she is that's part of the matrix of who she is, and just this, this brilliant and beautiful, unique person that is her own. Kanye said, a city girl swag with a country girl style, and in many ways she rejects or resists this, but yeah, just for what people expect when you start talking about people who grew up in the country and so on and so forth. Not the negative stereotypes, but just some of those other generic assumptions. She don't really fit that, but the closer you get to her, then some of those nurturing, homey, country, quote unquote, country ways come out, and it's been a wonderful thing. I don't think either one of us knew how well we would have complemented each other. Right. Just right at the offset. Right.
So that plays into my surprise question. It's for the both of you. It's not a question. It's going to be a task for the both of y'all. You are celebrating an anniversary tomorrow. I want you to share with her and you share with him, what are you thankful for that you have in him right now and what you have in her?
You're going to make her cry. Make me blush.
Aw. Well, I am thankful for him and his just his outgoingness. I don't even know if that's a word or not, but he works hard. He cares for his community. He cares for his family. All in, and he still takes care of me. You know, so I'm not gonna cry. But you know, and I just love him, and he is such a sweet person, inside and out. And I didn't have him in mind when we, you know, I made a list when I was in college, you know, all the things I wanted in a man. And just over the years before I met him, I was like, maybe I should take that off the list. And maybe I should, you know, revise that. And when I met him, he was all of those things. He was all of those things. He, you know, educated. I mean, this was one of the good things when we met and we were talking. And
He can subjugate nouns and verbs.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he can talk. You know? I mean, it wasn't, you know, and no, you know, there's a time and a place for everything, but just to have a conversation with somebody, and it wasn't watered down, and it was, you know, it had substance to it. And I appreciate all of his spirituality and all of his advice for me and just putting up with me, because, you know, I'm not a easy person to deal with sometimes, you know. I'm not a bad person either, but, you know, I think it takes a strong man to put up with me, and I just appreciate him and love him for all of the things that he is and what he's growing to be, and, you know, just, you out it.
Yeah, you know, I celebrate, and this is beyond just the 8 years. You know, the 8 years is the number that we use because we talk about the legality of it. But from day one, as you know, and we talked about this from time to time, but just your strength, your persistence, your compassion, your beauty. You's a fine something. and I'm grateful that each day has gotten better. It hadn't been perfect, and you ain't been hard to love at all. And so, for your professionalism, which is something that I wanted to, for your style, for your support, for your creativity. She is one of the most creative people. I mean, she does stuff. She produces like these montages and these videos for all of her nieces when they graduate, and you would think that somebody, you know, paid Sony to do it.
I don't know about all of that.
Or Paramount. You know what I'm saying? Like, so much so, I better get me one when I get my PhD. Right now, I'm just playing. But just the beauty of your whole being, and not just physically, and that is wonderful, fantastic even. But your brilliance, because you see things that I don't see in ways that I don't see it, and you have India.Arie said, you know, he chooses his words wisely when he tells me I'm not right. Mm-hmm. She has chosen her words wisely when she has to check me. Earle? No, or baby, I don't think you sure you should, you know, because doing, as she talked about, the community work, and she loves her community too, and she does work behind the scenes that people don't know and appreciate. And I'm glad that you have never really been a grandstander. You know, but
I'm a behind the scenes type person. Yeah. Like I work behind them.
Yeah, and,
I'm a light guy. You know,
she man, the I Am Her conference that you helped to put together, and that you laid out the vision for, and all of that stuff. The way you mentor those kids in those schools. I mean, she does community work that a lot of people just don't see, because she's not, you know, as public as I am, but she's equally as impactful. And so I thank you for being who you are and who God called you to be, and for helping me to be a better me. You do make me better. That was a song we used to vibe to, Fabulous. Mm-hmm. You know, you make me better. Yep, you make me better. And so I think I'll keep you around for another 8 years.
And
then
we
negotiate.
This is being recorded, so I'm going to hold you to that. We have evidence.
Then negotiate the contract.
No,
but it has been a wonderful ride up to this point, and we're looking forward to more.
I am so glad that y'all agreed to be on the show. This is the type of energy that, oh my God. So, sincerely, thank you. I am a believer in love and people making it work for themselves.
Yeah.
No, I'm not asking people to pattern their relationships after anybody, but to watch somebody who has gone through, somebody may be able to say, you know what? If they can do it, I know we can figure this out. You know? So thank you. Thank you so much. Our notion for today is what God has joined together, let no man put asunder.
Woman either.
Man or woman. This has been Relationship Rhetoric. I'm your host, unapologetically Angela. Peace, love, and enlightenment. Yes, y'all.